Hey guys, it's Jane. It's Friday. It's a beautiful Friday here in Melbourne, and I'm back for a Friday read. So it's a couple of weeks since I've done one of these because I had technical problems last weekend, and there are therefore a few books that I have to get to, but I think it's still not going to take all that long actually. So let's find out how wrong I can be. The first book is Andre Norton's The Time Traders. This is the first Andre Norton that I'd ever read. She's quite a famous author in science fiction circles, and I have been meaning to get to her sometime. I finally picked one up. It started slow and I wasn't really sure about it. It sort of was written mid-century, mid-last century. It's set in a world where men are men and women are barely evident. But after the first little, getting kind of my ear in, it actually turns out to be quite a half-decent story. A juvenile delinquent gets assigned to this military project, this top secret military project, and from there on out, it's just weird on weird on weird. And we've got we've got time travel, we've got aliens, we've got the frozen wastes, we've got noble savages, and we have that all-purpose storybook antagonist of the time, the Russians. Yeah, the commies are in there, and we've got to beat the Reds, and that gives the onwards impetus to the story. And it for what it is, it's really very enjoyable. So that was The Time Traders. Now, the next book that I finished, Captain Vorpatril's Alliance, by Lois, McMaster, Bujold. This is like number 15 or something in the Vorpatril saga. This is the first, and I think only book in the series that focuses on Ivan Vorpatril, who is Miles Vorkosigan, who's the main character in lots of the other stories, Miles's cousin. So it's a slightly different point of view. We have lots of the similar cast of characters, but from a slightly different angle. And because of that, I actually think this is a book that you could read not having to read the previous books and enjoy quite a lot. The whole plot, even though it's a space opera, all of these Vorkosigan books are in general outline space operas, the plot of this book is a classic screwball comedy. So at the beginning of the story, there is a damsel in distress, and Ivan marries her to get her out of a diplomatic mess, intending that they would get divorced, shortly thereafter. And this has just been a sort of ploy to kind of, save the day, with not a huge amount of thought having gone into it. They only met like that afternoon. So, but back on Barea, it turns out that, the powers that be aren't that keen on granting Ivan and the new Lady Vorpatril a divorce. And there are complications on complications on complications. It's a very enjoyable read. If you have been thinking about picking up a Vorkosigan book, but were a bit overwhelmed by, the huge length of the series, I think this is one that I think could pretty much stand as a standalone and give you a taste of what that world is about. I really, really enjoyed it. The third book that I finished this fortnight is Mary Roach's Packing for Mars, which is a non-fiction about space travel, space technology, and it kind of looks at kind of the nitty-gritty of space travel. Lots of stuff about psychology of groups, eating in space, excreting in space, just the kind of details of all this sort of stuff that is often not advertised by NASA because it doesn't fit their kind of image. It looks at NASA, it looks at the Russian space program. We also visit with the Japanese space program in the book. It's relatively short, and they're punchy chapters, and it's quite humorous at points. Very enjoyable. I think this is actually a book that would make a great present It's like because you can dip in and out of it, and it's got lots of little funny anecdotes. So if you're looking for a present for a friend or a family member who's might be vaguely interested in sort of space or technology issues, I think that this would be a good one. The final book that I'm going to tell you about that I read this fortnight is Rich People Problems by Kwan. This is complete trash and absolutely glorious. It's the follow-up to China Rich Girlfriend, which in itself was the follow-up to Crazy Rich Asians, and it's sort of a soap opera type story set around a cast of uber rich Asians. The first book starts in Singapore. The second book is mostly sort of centered around China. This third one, we're back in Singapore, but there's so much jet setting in place. You're always in Paris or Los Angeles or something along the way as you go. And it's following these, an interconnected group of uber rich families and the kind of machinations that go on about money and power and prestige and influence and stuff within these families. This third one focuses on an aged dying relative who everybody thinks is worth a mozza and are fighting over the will. It's just, like I said at the beginning, it is total trash and just so well done. Very, very enjoyable, light reading. Okay, I did actually finish one other book this fortnight, which was Max Gladstone's The Ruin of Angels. Ruin of Angels. I don't know if there's a the or not. I'll have to check. This is the 6th in the craft sequence that started with 3 Parts Dead, I think is the very first one. This is a brand new book just out in September. I had a look online last night and I didn't see anybody else who's done a review of this yet, which makes me think it's probably worth doing a standalone review of this book. So hopefully I'll get to that on the weekend. That's my plan. And I'm not going to say anything further about it now, except I really, really enjoyed it. So the other thing that I've been doing this week, and the reason that there's not more books to talk about in a fortnight, is that I have been marathoning season 2 of The Expanse, which has just come on to Netflix in Australia. I'm nearly finished and it's so good. It's so kind of all the feelings and I'm in the middle of reading The Expanse books and reading the books at the same sort of time as watching the TV is really interesting because the same basic through lines are there, but they approach, like the stories are approached from different angles, and the order that different things happen in is slightly different, and I'm really enjoying the books and I'm really enjoying the TV series. I don't even know which one's better, and they're quite distinct, although you can, it's obvious that they're from the same source material. I was actually just about to start book 3. It was the next one that I had on my e-reader queued up to go after finishing Ruin of Angels, but I've put that off. Long story short, it's a fantastic series, and if you haven't yet, I would encourage you to check it out. Not having picked up the next Expanse book, I have instead gone back and I've got the penultimate Vorpatril book that I've just started now this morning, Cryo Burn, and I've just read the first few chapters, and Miles is in trouble up to his neck on a foreign planet, and everything's going. We've snapped back to Captain Vorpatril's Alliance and back in Milesville, and yeah, I'm loving that. So that's that. That is the story. It's end of school today. Term break starts today. Kids are out for a fortnight. I'm going to be away next Friday. We've got family holidays over the long weekend. It's a long weekend next weekend for us because it's the footy finals, footy GF next Saturday week. I don't know. Is there anybody else in the world who gets a public holiday for a sports event? I'm not sure. It feels a bit wrong. And this is actually only one of two that we get in the calendar year, because in November we get the Melbourne Cup Day as well. I feel like there's something slightly wrong with the universe when I think about that too deeply. But anyway, I'd love to hear what you guys are up to, what you're reading. I hope you're all well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.